guys, just want to do a video tutorial for you today on how I've been making my little gift pouches. These are little gifts that I gave to the girls that came to my Christmas stamper stack, and basically they have a chocky inside and they're based on our Petite Pocket Die. And being the bit of the thrifty person that I try to be, I like to be able to get the most out of my cardstock, and so when I'm modifying the Petite Pocket Die, which is one of our long dies, I try not to die cut out any bits that I'm going to cut off and throw away. So what I mean by that is that I can take a standard half a piece of A4 cardstock that we have, which is what you would normally make a card base out of. So that piece of paper I can turn into a little gift pocket, and I want to show you how I do that. So this is our Petite Pocket Die here. Let me zoom out just a little bit for you so you can see all of it. Now it's a relatively long die, like I said, and it can take up, if you want to cut the whole thing out, an entire length of cardstock to cut the bits out that we're going to cut off anyway. So what I do is I take my card base and I cut it in half to make four quarters out of one piece of cardstock, and then all I do is I lay my quarter of cardstock on my die just so that the top little feature is covered, and I try to center it best I can, and cut it out, run it through the Big Shot and cut it out until I have two of these shapes. So you see I've got a little bit of excess here, and I've got just the smallest amount of that extra flap that you usually fold up. Now that doesn't give us enough to make a base, but when you've got two of those cut out, that's the basis for the pouch. You see you've got lots of this excess scrap down the side of your cutout. That is what I use to cut out two pieces of 1/2 inch by 2/8 of an inch, and you need two pieces of these as well as your two full sides, so you have certainly more than enough scrap to make your box. So let me show you how I do that. So basically you can see that I've folded along the upright tab score lines there, and then what I do is I take one of my pieces of 2/8 of an inch by 1/2 inch scraps of cardstock, put double-sided adhesive on the bottom of it, and I'll zoom in quickly so that you can see exactly where I'm putting it. It may be a bit hard to pick up in the camera light, guys, but there's a score line that the die puts in right along this edge here. What I do is I take my extra piece of cardstock that I've cut off and I line it up so that it sits right on that score line there. Hope you can see that. Then what I do is I take the other cut shape that I've got, put it the other way, and then basically match the edge of that little additional piece that I've cut out and line it up to the other score line. So let me go out for you so you can see what I've got now. So now I've got one long piece of cardstock which is joined with this little extra bit that I cut. Now the reason I cut out two is because when we flip it over there's a bit of sticky adhesive there because it's of course now wider than the tabs that we had there. So I just take the other piece that's got the double-sided tape already on the back and I cover it up. Voila! So now I have my box ready to be folded up. So I've already folded these two tabs and put a piece of sticky strip on each side. You only need to put sticky strip on one half of it. Quickly give these other ones a fold, and all we do now is a simple case of folding along the score lines now that we've put that little trim between them. Give that score line a fold, that score line a fold, and now we can fold our box together. Now before I do that, I try and lay it a little bit flatter before I glue the sides together, and I put a place for my ribbon tie to go at the top, and this is just our new little mini oval that I totally love, and I'm just going to center that in that top flap about there, punch it out, and it will punch out two pieces of cardstock. So I've got a little handle at the top. Okay, so now I can put my box together, take off one piece of sticky strip. Now I only ever do it one at a time because I seem to be unlucky. If I take off both it'll stick right where I don't want it to. Now I'll show you the best way to do this, guys, is to lay it down on your desktop, and what you want to do is you want to have the bottom edge even. Don't worry about this top edge, it will actually just come together as best it can. But make sure the bottom of your box is even. And then work your way up the side. Okay, so it's one side of your box seal. Turn it over. Take off that second piece of sticky strip. Lay it on your desktop. And make sure the bottom lines up nice and square. And stick it together. If you want to, you can put your bone folder on the inside to give it a bit of a push down. Don't really need to do that. Okay, so that's your box basically made, and you just can decorate it however you like. The one thing I wanted to show you quickly today was how I have been decorating mine. Now, this is just a piece of designer series paper. It's 5 3/4 inches by 1.5 inches wide, and the new little ribbon that we've got in the in colours is this little curly design, and I'll show you it on the roll because I've stuck that one on already. So it's this really lovely curly, and I think that it makes a gorgeous little trim. So instead of sticking a whole piece under each edge, I like to be a bit savvy with my ribbon again, and I've actually cut this ribbon in half. So you can see that I've got half of the ribbon stuck up the top, and then I'll just show you what I do for the bottom edge now. So take the other half that I've cut, so just cut it straight down the centre with a pair of scissors. Then all I do is I try and line up the designer series paper. Oh, there's a bit of fluff there, it's annoying me. Designer series paper right on the dotted line that's printed on that ribbon, so that it makes sure that it's straight and even. See if I can zoom in just a little bit more for you guys. See how I've got the dotted line just right on the edge of that designer series paper. Now it will start to fray, like you can see here guys, but as you stick it to the double-sided tape, it will seal all those fraying ends for you, so you will be able to ensure that you don't lose all your ribbon. You just got to be a little bit careful when you're applying it. But I think, personally, it makes a gorgeous little trim for little boxes and things. So there's now, I'll zoom back out so you can see, my little piece of designer series paper with a little fancy trim top and bottom. All you have to do is now trim off that excess piece of ribbon because you don't want that on there. And then clear this off, apply it to your box. Okay, so now it's all the sticky strips off, you just wrap it around the front of your box and press it down to finish it off. Okay, so now we're going to cover this bit in the front because it looks a bit horrid. So to cover the bit in the front, all I've done is got one of our new little oval designer frames in some early espresso cardstock. Used a white gel pen to cover over the dots. As you can see, I'm using non-traditional colours here. I've got Regal Rose and the new Island Indigo with a little bit of early espresso, which is a bit Christmassy, I suppose. So I've stamped Regal Rose onto some white cardstock for the tidings of comfort and joy that I'm going to pop into the centre. So I'm just going to snail that into the designer frame that we've got here ready to go. And just so that the little bauble is highlighted, I've gone ahead earlier and I've stamped that image again onto some Island Indigo cardstock with our craft white ink. Now you've got to be careful with craft ink. You really do have to make sure that you let it dry, guys, completely, because you can smudge it quite easily. So all I'm going to do is take my paper snips and trim out that centre little piece of the bauble that's outlined beautifully now in the white ink. And I'm actually going to cut on the inside of the bauble because I do like that a bit better. And make sure I get the white lines for those ones. So that's been drying for a good 10-15 minutes. Otherwise, if I didn't, I've done it before, tried to cut it too early and I've ended up with just a big white smudgy mess, which is not nice for anybody. So all I do then, guys, is get my two-way glue pen, bit of glue on the back of that highlighty piece, take some tweezers because I have fat fingers. And even with tweezers, I'm totally incapacitated today. What's going on? Alrighty-o. and I put that little trim right over the top on the stamped image just to highlight a little bit. Nice. Got some dimensionals on the back. Pop the backings off those ones and put this in the centre of our box. Like that. And then all I'm going to do for the top is take one of the triple layer flowers that I've got here, and I'm going to put that over the hole in the top, and to make sure I get the oval put right in the centre where I want it. Actually, one good thing to use is the offcuts that we've cut out of there. Doesn't matter, you can use whatever adhesive you want, so I'm just going to put some two-way glue on it. Then I'm going to centre this oval in the middle of my flower, like that. And then when I punch it out with my oval punch, I line that oval up right in the centre, like that, and I punch it out, and then I have my oval in the centre of my flower. Another bit of two-way glue around that trim, like that, and that goes nicely now over the handle hole that I've cut in the top, like that. Now I probably could do with a bit more decoration top and bottom, thinking about it, but I will think about that, and the version you see on my website might be slightly different, but I just wanted to show you those few tips. Last thing, add chocolate, add bow at the top. So you want to do a nice little, just a knot, I think is always nice. I don't want to do anything too complicated, particularly if you're trying to get chocolate out. Okay, it's a nice little, just a knot on the front. Lovely. And then take a lighter, heat those ends up so that your ribbon's not all frayed and horrible. Lovely. So guys, there's my little ideas for chocolate Christmas pouches. They are a snap to make. They use a half a piece of cardstock with a little bit of scrap for your trims and some designer series paper and the smallest amount of ribbon if you cut it in half anyway. I hope you have fun making these little pockets, guys, and enjoy the video.